The sake glass shattered against the wall 3 inches from Arya's head. She didn't flinch. The entire restaurant fell silent, chopsticks frozen midair, conversations dying like snuffed candles. Everyone at Hanami knew what happened to people who disrespected Sojun Park. Everyone except apparently the fearless black waitress now staring down the most dangerous Korean mafia boss in Los Angeles with nothing but a serving tray and a death wish. "You going to throw another one?" Arya said, her voice steady as bedrock. "Or are you going to act like you've got some class and order your damn dinner? Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into this absolutely insane story, I need to know, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And listen, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, because the story you're about to hear, it's going to leave you absolutely speechless. Trust me on this one. Now, let's get into it. 30 seconds earlier, Arya had been having the worst night of her 3-year career at Hanami. 2 tables had stiffed her on tips, the kitchen had blamed her for their mistakes twice, and her feet were screaming in shoes held together with duct tape and prayers. She was exhausted, broke, and running on 4 hours of sleep because her second job at the hospital laundry started at 5 a.m. She didn't have the energy for entitled rich people. Not tonight. So when the man in the $15,000 custom suit snapped his fingers at her like she was a dog, something inside her snapped too. "Excuse me," she'd said, turning slowly. Seo-jun Park looked up from his phone, clearly unused to being questioned. At 34, he was devastatingly handsome in that dangerous way, sharp cheekbones, obsidian eyes that missed nothing, the kind of presence that made people instinctively step back. His jet-black hair was perfectly styled, his expression carved from ice. Everything about him screamed power and control. Behind him, 2 large men in dark suits stood at attention, hands ready to move at a moment's notice. "The sake," he said without preamble, his accent slight but noticeable. "It's wrong. Take it back." Arya had glanced at the bottle, the $800 bottle of premium sake. Perfect temperature, perfect pour. She'd opened it herself 15 minutes ago, done everything right. "No, it isn't." The words hung in the air like a grenade. The restaurant went silent. Chopsticks frozen midair. His companion, nervous man in a cheaper suit, actually gasped. The bodyguards' hands moved toward their jackets. Everyone knew what happened when you disrespected Sojun Park. Everyone except Arya, who'd survived worse than rich men with guns. He slowly set down his phone. When he looked at her fully for the first time, his gaze was the kind that probably made hardened criminals confess to crimes they didn't commit. "What did you just say to me?" "I said it's not wrong." Her voice didn't shake. Foster care had taught her that showing fear was blood in the water. "You don't like it? Fine. But don't make up excuses. Just say you want something different." The temperature dropped 10 degrees. Seo-jun's hand moved fast, violent. The sake glass flew past her head, so close she felt the air displacement. It exploded against the vintage wallpaper in a spray of crystal and liquid that looked disturbingly like blood. Warning shot. Demonstration. Reminder of who held the power. Arya didn't flinch, didn't move, didn't blink. His eyes widened slightly. Surprise. Intrigue. Something darker. "Do you have any idea?" he said quietly, his voice carrying despite its softness. "Who I am?" She tilted her head. "Should I?" His eye twitched. Actually twitched. The bodyguards moved closer. Someone in the kitchen whispered a prayer in Korean. The man at table 12, the most dangerous man in Los Angeles, stood slowly, 6'2" of controlled violence rising like a storm. "Man, don't dare me," Arya said, and her voice cut through the tension like a blade. "I've had the worst day of my life. I'm not scared of you. And if you think I'm going to kiss your ass because you've got money and probably a gun, you picked the wrong waitress on the wrong damn night." Someone in the back literally dropped a plate. The crash echoed. For 5 endless seconds, Sojun just stared at her. She could see his mind working behind those obsidian eyes, calculating, deciding. His hand flexed at his side, a tell his bodyguards recognized because all three started moving toward her. Then something impossible happened. Seojun Park smiled, not friendly, not warm. The smile of a predator that had just found something unexpectedly interesting. Something worth playing with before the kill. "You're fired," he said simply. "You can't fire me. You don't work here. I own this restaurant as of 3 weeks ago. So yes, I can fire you." He glanced at his watch, easily worth more than she made in a year. "You have 30 seconds to leave before I have you removed." The words hit like a physical blow. Career suicide, financial ruin, homelessness in 6 days. But even knowing that, even feeling panic claw at her chest, Arya couldn't apologize, wouldn't bow. She untied her apron slowly, pulled out the $43 in tips, everything she'd earned tonight, and dropped the apron on his table. "You know what? I feel sorry for you. You're rich, powerful, everyone's terrified of you, and you're still the most miserable-looking person in this restaurant. That's actually sad." She turned and walked toward the exit, head high, heart hammering. Almost made it. "Wait." His voice stopped her cold. She turned. Seojun was studying her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. His bodyguards frozen, the entire restaurant holding its breath. "What's your name?" "Does it matter?" "I don't work here anymore." "Your name?" "Arya Hayes." He nodded slowly, committing it to memory in a way that should have terrified her. "You'll be hearing from me, Arya Hayes." That wasn't a promise. That was a threat. And 3 days later, when her phone rang with an unknown number, Arya would realize some threats were actually invitations to something far more dangerous than she could have possibly imagined. 3 days later, Arya sat in her converted storage room apartment, if you could call a space with a hot plate and no windows, an apartment, staring at her phone screen. Bank account. $217. Rent due in 6 days. Already 3 weeks behind. Her landlord's last text had been clear. "Pay by Friday or you're out. No exceptions." Her phone buzzed. Another rejection. "We're sorry, but we've decided to move forward with other candidates." 5th one this week. Same story everywhere. Word had spread fast in LA's restaurant scene. Nobody would hire the girl who disrespected Sojun Park. She was blacklisted, untouchable, toxic. Arya dropped her head into her hands. The hospital laundry paid minimum wage. Not enough for rent. Not enough for food. Not enough for the medical bills still piling up from that car accident. She was drowning. Across town, in a penthouse overlooking downtown Los Angeles, Sojun Park stood at floor-to-ceiling windows with untouched whiskey in his hand. He couldn't stop thinking about her. Those defiant eyes. That unwavering voice. The way she'd looked at him like he was just another man throwing a tantrum instead of someone who could end her with a phone call. "Boss." Jin-ho entered, tablet in hand. "You wanted the background check." Seojun didn't turn from the window. "Tell me." Arya Hayes. 28. Foster care until 18, bounced through 3 homes. No family. Works 2 jobs. Behind on rent. Medical bills from a car accident last year. No criminal record. No connections to any organizations. Jin-ho paused. "She's completely clean, boss. Just tough luck." Something twisted in Sojun's chest. Almost like guilt. Almost. "And the other thing?" Jin-ho's expression darkened. "Confirmed. Someone inside your organization is stealing, moving product without authorization. We still don't know who." Seojun's jaw tightened. Betrayal. In his family. The disrespect of it made his blood boil. He'd built this empire on loyalty and fear, and someone thought they could steal from him. Double the surveillance. His phone rang. "Unknown number." He answered. "Yes. Is this Seojun Park?" A woman's voice. Familiar, fearless, but with something underneath now. something desperate. His eyebrows rose. Arya. Yeah. Listen, I've got a proposition for you. She took a breath. And before you hang up, just hear me out, okay? He was already intrigued. I'm listening. I need money. You clearly have it. So here's the deal. I'll work for you. Not at the restaurant. I know that ship sailed. But whatever you need. Assistant. Cleaner. I don't care. I'll work harder than anyone you've ever hired. Her voice cracked slightly on the next words. I need a job. Please. That last word cost her. He could hear it. You know what I am, don't you? What I do? A pause. I've heard rumors. And you're calling me anyway. I'm calling you because I'm out of options. Pride doesn't pay rent. Seojun's mind raced. Someone to help him identify his traitor. Someone nobody in his organization would suspect. Someone observant enough to catch details. Someone fearless. Someone desperate enough to say yes. Come to my office tomorrow. 10 a.m. Park Enterprises. Top floor. He gave her the address. Don't be late. Does that mean... It means we'll talk. He paused. And Arya? Wear something professional. He hung up before she could respond. Jinho was staring at him like he'd lost his mind. Boss, what are you doing? Sojun smiled slowly, dangerously. Something either very smart or catastrophically stupid. She's a civilian. She could get hurt. Or worse, you could get... attached? Sojun's voice went cold. I'm not capable of attachment, Jinho, but I am capable of using every resource available to find the rat in my organization. Jinho shook his head. This is a mistake. Maybe it was. But the moment Arya Hayes didn't flinch from that thrown glass, Sojun's carefully controlled world had started to unravel. And tomorrow morning, when she walked into his office wearing that second-hand blazer and 3 times ironed pants, everything would change. Neither of them knew it yet. But in trying to solve their separate problems, they were about to create something far more dangerous than either could have imagined. Arya arrived at Park Enterprises wearing the only professional clothes she owned, a black blazer from Goodwill and pants she'd ironed 3 times to hide the wear. The glass and steel building screamed money in a way that made her stomach tight. The receptionist looked at her like she'd tracked dirt inside. Arya Hayes. I have an appointment. Top floor. He's expecting you. The elevator ride felt like ascending to her execution. Each floor number lighting up like a countdown to something she couldn't take back. The doors opened to marble floors and minimalist Korean aesthetic. Clean lines. Expensive art. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a city that belonged to him. Sojun stood with his back to her, hands in his pockets, perfectly tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than her car. He didn't turn. You came, he said. You doubted I would. Most people run from me. Now he turned, and the intensity of his gaze made her breath catch. You keep walking closer. He moved toward her, slow, predatory. Arya's instinct screamed to step back. She held her ground. He stopped 3 feet away. Close enough that she could smell his cologne, expensive, masculine, subtle notes of bergamot and cedar. I'm going to offer you a position, Arya. But first, I need to know, can you keep your mouth shut when it matters? Her pulse quickened. Depends what I'm keeping quiet about. Someone in my organization is stealing from me. Moving shipments, skimming money. I need to find out who. His obsidian eyes locked onto hers. I need someone they won't see coming. Someone to watch, listen, report back. An invisible pair of eyes. You want me to spy for you. I want you to help me find a traitor. In exchange, I'll pay you $20,000. Arya's knees nearly buckled. 20,000. That was everything. Rent, medical bills, a car that actually worked, breathing room for the first time in years. Why me? Because nobody knows you. Because you're observant, you caught details about that sake nobody else would notice. And because... He paused. something flickering across his face. Because my instincts say you're loyal. You don't even know me. I know you work 2 jobs to survive. I know you'd rather starve than apologize when you think you're right. I know you're desperate enough to call the man who fired you. He tilted his head. Am I wrong? He wasn't. What exactly would I be doing? I'm hosting a charity gala tomorrow night. All my business associates will be there, including my trader. You'll attend as my date. Observe. Tell me who doesn't fit, who's nervous, who's too confident. Your date? Her voice cracked. It's a cover, nothing more. But the way his eyes traveled over her face suggested he was trying to convince himself too. And if something goes wrong? If these people figure out what I'm doing? Seo-jun stepped closer, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. Then I protect you. You'll be under my protection. His voice dropped lower. Dangerous. No one touches what's mine. What's mine? The words sent an unexpected shiver down her spine. This is insane, she whispered. Yes. His gaze never wavered. Is that a no? Arya looked into those dark, dangerous eyes and saw something she hadn't expected. Loneliness. This powerful, feared man was alone, betrayed by his own people, trusting a stranger because he had no one else. She recognized that loneliness. She'd lived it her entire life. One condition, she said. You tell me the truth about everything. What I'm walking into, what the risks really are. No surprises. Agreed. Then yes, I'll do it. Seo-jun's smile was slow, genuine, and completely transformed his face. For one moment, he wasn't a mafia boss. He was just a man who'd found an unexpected ally. He extended his hand. Partners. Arya shook it. His grip was warm, strong. Neither of them let go immediately. The air between them crackled with something electric, dangerous, unnamed. His thumb brushed across her knuckles, accidental or intentional. She couldn't tell. Tomorrow night, he said softly, still holding her hand. I'll send a car at 7. And Arya, yeah? Wear something that makes them underestimate you. Pretty, harmless, forgettable. She pulled her hand back, trying to ignore the tingling where he'd touched her. I've been underestimated my whole life. That part will be easy. What, she didn't say. Pretending this is just business, that's going to be the hard part. As she left, Seo-jun returned to his window, his hand still warm from hers. Jinho emerged from the side office where he'd been listening. This is a mistake, boss. She's a civilian. She could get hurt. Or worse, you could get attached. Seo-jun's reflection in the glass was unreadable. I'm not capable of attachment. Keep telling yourself that. But they both knew the truth. The moment Arya Hayes didn't flinch from that thrown glass, Seo-jun's carefully controlled world had started to unravel. And tomorrow night, when she walked into that gala in a dress he hadn't sent yet, everything would explode in ways neither of them could possibly prepare for. Because what Seo-jun didn't know, what he couldn't know, was that his traitor was already watching. Already planning. And Arya Hayes had just painted a target on her back the size of Los Angeles. The garment bag arrived the next day at noon. Arya stared at it, hanging on her door like it might explode. That morning, she'd woken to a notification that had made her heart stop. A wire transfer of $10,000 had hit her account, the first half of Seo-jun's payment. She'd immediately paid her rent, her medical bills, bought groceries without checking prices. For the first time in years, she could breathe. Now, staring at the crimson gown, she realized the price of that breath might be higher than she'd thought. Inside was a floor-length crimson gown that probably cost more than her car. The fabric felt like liquid fire against her fingers. A note fell out. Sharp, precise handwriting. Red. It'll match your fire. S. Despite everything, despite the insanity of what she'd agreed to, Arya smiled. By 6:30, she'd transformed herself. The dress fit perfectly. which meant he'd somehow gotten her measurements. The thought should have creeped her out. Instead, it made her pulse race. Her natural hair fell in elegant curls. Makeup enhanced her rich brown skin. Heels made her legs look endless. The woman in the mirror was a stranger. Stunning, powerful, dangerous. At exactly 7, a black SUV with tinted windows pulled up. Very Mafia chic. Seo-jun was waiting in the building lobby. When he saw her, he went completely still, just stopped breathing for 3 full seconds. "Well?" Arya asked, suddenly self-conscious. "Harmless enough?" He recovered quickly, but not before she caught something heated flash in his obsidian eyes. "You look perfect." He offered his arm. Back to controlled businessman. "Remember, you're just my date. Smile, observe, stay close to me." "Why do I feel like you added that last part for reasons that have nothing to do with the job?" His lips quirked. "Because you're perceptive. It's why I hired you." The Beverly Hills Contemporary Art Museum was obscene. Hundreds of guests in designer clothes, champagne flowing like water, string quartet playing classical pieces that probably cost more per note than Arya made in a week. Old money and new crime, mixing like expensive perfume and gunpowder. Seo-jun's hand settled on the small of her back, possessive, warm through the thin fabric. The touch sent electricity up her spine. "See the man in the gray suit?" His breath was warm against her ear. "That's Jin-ho Kim, my second in command. Loyal since we were teenagers. I trust him with my life." Jin-ho approached. Mid-30s, sharp eyes, assessing her like a threat assessment. "Jin-ho, this is Arya." The handshake was a test. Jin-ho held her gaze too long, looking for weakness. Found none. "The woman in the black dress, that's Hana Song. Runs my accounting. Brilliant with numbers." Hana was sweating despite the air conditioning. Her handshake trembled. "And him?" Seo-jun's voice tightened slightly. "Min-jun Choi, operations manager. Brilliant. Ambitious. Possibly too ambitious." Min-jun was handsome, mid-30s, perfectly styled. He kept checking his phone even as he smiled at Arya. Something about his eyes was wrong. Too calculated. Too cold. For the next hour, Arya played the perfect date while her mind cataloged everything. Each handshake was a test. Each smile a potential lie. Who held eye contact too long? Who avoided it completely? Whose hands trembled? Who seemed too relaxed? Too nervous? Too perfect? Hana couldn't stop sweating, kept glancing at exits. Min-jun checked his phone 17 times in 20 minutes. Jin-ho watched Seo-jun with something that looked almost like pity, and everywhere they went, whispers followed. The powerful Korean crime boss and the beautiful black woman at his side. Curiosity. Calculation. Some women shooting Arya looks that could melt steel. "You didn't tell people you were bringing someone," Arya murmured. "I never bring anyone." Seo-jun's hand pressed more firmly against her back. "You're causing quite a stir." He seemed pleased by this. The chemistry between them was undeniable. Every accidental touch felt intentional. Every look lingered too long. His hand never left her back. Her body leaned toward his like gravity. They were playing roles. Pretending. Except it didn't feel like pretending. During a lull, Arya whispered urgently, "We need to talk. I'm seeing things." Seo-jun guided her onto the balcony, away from curious ears. The Los Angeles skyline glittered before them. "Tell me, your accountant is terrified. Your operations manager is distracted and—" She stopped. Jin-ho had just burst onto the balcony, his face pale, urgent. "Boss, we have a problem." Seo-jun's entire demeanor changed. Back to ice. "What problem?" "2 of our warehouses just got raided." "FBI. Someone tipped them off." Jin-ho's eyes flickered to Arya. "Someone who knew tonight we'd all be here." Distracted. The implication hung in the air like poison. Seojun's expression went arctic. You think I think it's one hell of a coincidence that you bring a stranger into the organization and 12 hours later were compromised. Arya's blood turned to ice. She was being framed. And across the ballroom, through the glass doors, she caught Minjun watching them with a small, satisfied smile. The real traitor was making his move. The Los Angeles skyline glittered before them like scattered diamonds. For a moment, on the balcony away from curious ears, they were just two people alone under the stars. Not a mafia boss and a desperate waitress. Just them. Tell me what you saw, Sojun said. Your accountant, Hana, she's terrified. Sweating, checking exits every 30 seconds. Your operations manager keeps checking his phone like he's waiting for something. And Jinho. Arya paused. He keeps looking at you like you're a dead man walking. What aren't you telling me, Sojun? His jaw tightened. Jinho thinks investigating internally will start a war. Is he right? Probably. Sojun turned to face her fully. In the moonlight, he looked younger, more vulnerable. But I can't let betrayal slide. My father did that once. It got him killed. The confession hung between them. How old were you? Arya asked softly. 19. I watched him bleed out on our apartment floor in Koreatown because he trusted the wrong person. His hands gripped the balcony railing until his knuckles went white. I swore I'd never make that mistake. Without thinking, Arya placed her hand over his. He stared at their hands, her brown skin against his pale like he'd forgotten what comfort looked like the contrast was something beautiful and terrifying all at once. Why do you do that? His voice was barely a whisper. Do what? Touch me like you're not afraid. Everyone's afraid, Arya. I told you I'm not everyone. She didn't pull her hand back. Besides, you're not as scary as you think you are. No? He turned his hand over, threading his fingers through hers. The gesture was intimate, dangerous. What am I then? Lonely, she thought. Hurt. Human. Complicated, she said instead. He gestured between them with his free hand. Whatever this is between us, it's a bad idea. Terrible idea, Arya agreed, her voice barely a whisper. But they were leaning closer anyway, the space between them shrinking. His free hand came up to cup her jaw, thumb brushing across her cheekbone. Her breath caught. Arya. Boss. Jinho burst onto the balcony, face pale, urgent, shattering the moment like glass. Sojun dropped his hand immediately. Back to cold businessman. What? We have a problem. Jinho's eyes flickered to Arya, then back. 2 of our warehouses just got raided. FBI. Someone tipped them off. The temperature dropped 10 degrees. When? 20 minutes ago. Someone who knew tonight we'd all be here. Distracted. Jinho's gaze settled on Arya, hard and accusing. Someone who knew exactly where to strike. The implication was crystal clear. Seojun's expression went arctic. You think she brought the FBI? I think it's one hell of a coincidence that you bring a stranger into the organization and 12 hours later were compromised. Jinho looked apologetic but firm. Standard protocol, boss. She needs to be questioned. Like hell. It's okay, Arya interrupted, squeezing Seojun's hand once before letting go. Her heart was hammering, but her voice stayed steady. I have nothing to hide. Ask whatever you need to ask. Jinho led her back inside to a private room. 3 very large men waited. This wasn't a conversation. This was an interrogation. But as they walked, Arya caught sight of Minjun watching them from across the ballroom. He was smiling, small, satisfied, victorious. And in that moment, Arya realized with cold, absolute certainty this was a setup. The raids weren't about the FBI. They were about making her look guilty, about separating her from Seojun, about isolating him from the one person who might actually help him. The real traitor was making his move, and she just walked right into his trap. The door to the interrogation room closed behind her with a sound like a gunshot. Jin-ho pulled out her chair. The three large men positioned themselves at exits. "Where were you yesterday between 2 and 4 p.m.? Jin-ho asked. Arya met his eyes steadily. "My apartment. Alone. No alibi." "No alibi." She leaned forward. "Jin-ho, listen to me. I'm being framed. Think about it, I've been with Sojun all day. When would I have had time to contact the FBI? This could have been your plan all along." Outside, through the small window in the door, she could see the gala continuing. Min Jun had his phone out again, typing rapidly, making his next move. Whatever was coming, it was coming fast. And Arya was locked in a room, helpless to warn anyone. The interrogation room was small, windowless, and contained three very large men who looked at Arya like she was a problem that needed solving permanently. Jin-ho sat across from her, expression regretful. "I need your phone." She handed it over. "You won't find anything. Where were you yesterday between 2 and 4 p.m.? "My apartment. Alone." She met his eyes steadily. "No alibi. Convenient. I'm being framed, Jin-ho. Think about it, I've been with Sojun all day. When would I have had time to contact the FBI? This could have been your plan all along." The door slammed open so hard it cracked against the wall. Seo-jun stood there, fury radiating off him like heat. He unleashed a string of sharp Korean that made the three large men actually step back, then switched to English. "This is done. Boss. Protocol." "I said it's done." Sojun's voice was deadly quiet. "She's clean. I'd stake my life on it." "You might be staking all our lives on it." Jin-ho stood, frustrated. "Damn it, Sojun. Think with your head, not your—" He stopped himself. "Not my what?" Sojun moved into the room like a storm. "Say it." Jin-ho's jaw worked. "You're compromised. Anyone can see the way you look at her. It's making you reckless." "What's making me reckless is my second in command questioning my judgment." The temperature dropped. "We clear?" After a tense moment, Jin-ho nodded. "Clear. But boss, watch your back. Something about tonight feels orchestrated." He left. Arya released a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. "You okay?" Sojun's anger melted into concern. "I'm fine. But Jin-ho's right about the orchestrated part." She stood, mind racing. "This was designed to make me look guilty, to isolate you from me, from everyone you might actually trust." Seo-jun's eyes narrowed. "Go on. What if the traitor isn't working alone? What if this whole thing, the theft, the raids, bringing me in, what if it's all pieces of something bigger?" His eyes widened. "A coup. Someone wants your position, and they need you paranoid and alone to take it." For a long moment, he just looked at her. Then, "How does a waitress know about power plays and organizational coups?" "I read a lot," she said dryly. "And I've seen enough workplace drama to know that ambition makes people stupid." Despite everything, he almost smiled. "Come on. I'm getting you out of here." "What about the gala?" "Screw the gala. Someone just declared war, and I'm not leaving you exposed." His hand found hers, and this time it felt less like attraction and more like a promise. "You're staying with me tonight." "My penthouse. It's the only place I know is secure." "Sojun, that wasn't a request, Arya. Someone tried to frame you, which means they know you're important to me." His grip tightened. "Which means you're now a target. So, until we figure out who's behind this, you stay where I can protect you." "He knows where you live," Arya said quietly. 6 years working for you, he knows all your properties." "I know. But I've already changed every access code, upgraded the security protocols. Jin-ho's bringing our most trusted people." His jaw set. "And if he comes, we'll be ready." The possessiveness in his voice should have annoyed her. Instead, it made her feel something she hadn't felt in years. Safe. Seojun's penthouse was a fortress. Security cameras everywhere, reinforced doors, panoramic windows overlooking a city that belonged to him. Arya stood in the living room, still in her crimson dress, adrenaline finally crashing. I need to sit down. Drink first. He handed her whiskey, their fingers brushing. You handled that interrogation better than most of my men. I've had practice being accused of things I didn't do. She took a long sip, the burn grounding her. Foster care teaches you that nobody believes you anyway, so you might as well stand your ground. Something in his expression softened. I believe you. Why? Jinho's right. You barely know me. Seojun set down his glass and moved closer. I know enough. I know you're brave and stubborn and you don't lie. Even when lying would save you. His hand came up, tucking a curl behind her ear. I know that you see me. Not the reputation, not the fear. Me. The air between them ignited. Sojun, we shouldn't. I know. But he didn't step back. Neither did she. His phone shattered the moment, vibrating violently across the marble counter. He grabbed it, frowning. It's Jinho. He found something. He put it on, speaker. Boss, you need to hear this. I pulled surveillance from the warehouse district. Jinho's voice was tight. The person who met with the FBI agents 3 days ago. I got a clear image. Send it. The photo loaded. Arya's blood turned to ice. On the screen was a man in a dark coat handing documents to someone in an FBI jacket. The image was grainy, but the face was unmistakable. Minjun Choi, Seojun's operations manager, his trusted lieutenant of 6 years. Minjun. Sojun breathed, his face going white. He's been with me for 6 years. I trusted him with everything. There's more, boss. Jinho's voice was grim. I dug into his background. His father's name, it's Daejung Choi. The name clearly meant something. Sojun's hands clenched into fists. Who's Daejung Choi? Arya asked. Seojun's voice came out hollow. The man who betrayed my father. Who put the hit on him? His eyes met hers, filled with something dark and terrible. I killed Daejung 15 years ago. Shot him myself. The room spun. Minjun is his son, Jinho confirmed. He's been planning this for years. Getting close. Gaining your trust. This isn't about money, boss. It's about revenge, Arya whispered. And somewhere across Los Angeles, Minjun Choi was making his final move. There's more, boss. Jinho's voice crackled through the speaker. I dug into Minjun's background. His father's name was Daejung Choi. The name hit Sojun like a bullet. His face went white. He unleashed a string of Korean curses that needed no translation. Who's Daejung Choi? Arya asked. Seojun's voice came out hollow. The man who betrayed my father, who put the hit on him. His hands clenched. I killed Daejung 15 years ago, shot him myself in a warehouse in Koreatown. The room spun. This wasn't corporate theft. This was personal, calculated. A vendetta wrapped in patience and cold hatred. Minjun is his son, Jinho confirmed. He's been planning this for years. Getting close, gaining your trust. Boss, this isn't about money. It's about revenge, Arya whispered. About honor. Blood debt. He's going to kill you, she said, turning to Sojun. He's going to try. Sojun's jaw set. Jinho, what else? Boss, the FBI didn't raid those warehouses tonight. I checked. There's no record of any federal operation. Those were Minjun's people dressed as agents. He staged it to frame Arya, to isolate you. And the missing shipments? Sojun's voice was ice. Minjun was stockpiling. Weapons, ammunition, tactical gear, everything he needed to build his own small army. He's been siphoning resources for months, recruiting quietly from rival organizations. And according to intercepts, Jinho paused. He's planning to move tonight. While everyone's scattered from the gala, he has at least a dozen men, maybe more. The fake raid was ready to go, he just needed the right scapegoat. When you brought Arya, he adjusted his timeline. Sojun was already moving, pulling guns from hidden compartments, checking ammunition with practiced efficiency. Cold, focused, deadly. Jinho, I need you to contact the loyalists. Get them to the penthouse. Now, on it, boss. Watch yourself. If he's moving tonight, he knows where you are. The call ended. Arya stood frozen, processing. You need to leave. Run. Regroup somewhere safe. I don't run. Sojun loaded a pistol with deadly calm. And I'm not letting him destroy what I've built. This isn't about pride. He wants you dead. Which is why I need to end this tonight. He looked at her, and his expression broke her heart. Arya, I need you to go to the panic room. Steel door, reinforced walls. You'll be safe there while I... No, this isn't negotiable. The hell it isn't. She crossed to him, grabbing his arm. You can't face a dozen armed people alone. I've faced worse. Not while protecting someone. The words burst out before she could stop them. You'll be distracted, worried about me, and you'll get killed. So either I hide and you die. Or, she took a shaky breath, or you let me help. Absolutely not. I can shoot. My foster dad, the one decent one, taught me. And I'm not useless in a fight. She stepped closer, forcing him to see her. You said I was under your protection. Well, protection goes both ways. You don't get to die on me when I just found someone who actually gives a damn whether I exist. The confession hung between them, raw and honest. Seojun's control cracked. He pulled her against him hard, desperate, and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was fear and fury, and the kind of passion that comes from dancing too close to death. His hands tangled in her curls. Her fingers gripped his jacket. For one blazing moment, nothing else existed. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against hers. If something happens to you, he whispered in Korean, then English, I'll never forgive myself. Then we make sure nothing happens to either of us. She cupped his face. Partners, remember? Before he could answer, the lights went out. Emergency systems kicked in. Red bulbs cast everything in hellish light. They're here, Sojun said, instantly alert. He pressed a gun into her hands. Stay behind me. And Arya, yeah? Don't dare me to keep you safe. Because I will. Even if it costs me everything. Through the windows, she saw them. Figures in tactical gear rappelling down from the roof. Climbing up from below. Moving with military precision. At least 15 of them. The first window exploded inward in a spray of glass and bullets. Seojun fired twice. 2 bodies dropped. Move! They ran through the penthouse as gunfire erupted. Glass shattered. Bullets ripped through furniture. Chaos consumed everything. Arya fired back, her hands steadier than she expected, hitting a man coming through the kitchen. They were fighting toward the panic room when Minjun's voice crackled through a speaker. Cold. Venomous. Speaking in Korean. Seojun Park. The man who murdered my father. Tonight you pay. Your father was a traitor, Sojun yelled back. He was mine. The rage was raw. Broken. You took him from me. Now I take everything from you. More men poured in. Too many. Seojun grabbed Arya, pushing her toward the panic room. Go now. Not without you. I'll be right behind. The explosion blew them apart. Arya hit the wall hard, ears ringing. Through the smoke, she saw Sojun on the ground, bleeding from his shoulder. 3 men advancing on him. No. She fired until her gun clicked empty. Strong arms grabbed her from behind. She fought, biting, kicking, thrashing, but there were too many. Arya! Sojun's desperate voice as they dragged her away. The last thing she saw before a bag went over her head was Minjun stepping through the smoke. Gun pointed at Seojun's head, smiling. The first window exploded inward. Seojun fired twice. 2 bodies dropped before they hit the floor. Kaja! he shouted in Korean, then English. Move! They ran through the penthouse as gunfire erupted. Glass shattered like rain. Bullets ripped through leather furniture, marble counters, everything Sojun had built. Chaos consumed the world. Arya fired back, hands steadier than she expected. A man came through the kitchen. She squeezed the trigger. He dropped. The panic room! Seo-jun shouted, laying down cover fire. They were 10 feet away when Min-jun's voice crackled through the speaker system. Cold. Venomous. Speaking Korean, then switching to English. Seo-jun Park, the man who murdered my father. Tonight you pay. Your father was a traitor! Seo-jun yelled back, firing at 2 more attackers. He was mine. Min-jun's scream was raw, broken. You took him from me when I was 12 years old. Now I take everything from you. More men poured through windows, doors, everywhere. Too many. 12, 15, 20. Seo-jun grabbed Arya, pushing her toward the panic room. Go now! Not without you! I'll be right behind. The explosion was deafening. The blast wave threw them in opposite directions. Arya hit the wall hard, her head cracking against marble, ears ringing, vision blurred. Through the smoke, she saw Seo-jun on the ground, blood spreading from his shoulder. 3 men advancing on him, guns raised. No, she fired. Again, until her gun clicked empty. Strong arms grabbed her from behind, massive, crushing. She fought like an animal, bit down hard on flesh, tasted blood, kicked, clawed, thrashed. Arya! Seo-jun's desperate voice, trying to get to her. Bleeding, overwhelmed, but there were too many. They dragged her backward through the smoke and chaos. The last thing she saw before a bag went over her head was Min-jun stepping through the destruction. Gun pointed at Seo-jun's head, smiling. Min-jun's finger tightened on the trigger. Any last words, Seo-jun? The wall behind Min-jun exploded. Jin-ho and 4 loyalists burst through in synchronized chaos. They'd been in the stairwell the entire time, waiting for the signal. In the eruption of gunfire and smoke, Min-jun made his choice. Grab Arya and run, or kill Seo-jun and die here. He chose survival, dragging Arya's unconscious body toward the service elevator while his remaining men provided cover. Seo-jun tried to follow, bleeding from his shoulder, but Jin-ho held him back. Boss, you can barely stand. And look. He held up his phone, showing a blinking red dot moving across a map. The tracker I slipped into her dress during the gala. He'll lead us right to her. Seo-jun stared at the moving dot, his hands shaking with rage and fear. Get every loyal man we have. Get the cars. We're getting her back. Already done, boss. Across the city, in a cold warehouse basement, Arya awakened in darkness. Hands zip-tied behind her, head pounding. Cold concrete beneath her. A basement. Damp. Empty. The smell of mold and despair. Footsteps echoed closer. Min-jun's voice cut through the dark. Don't worry. You're not the target. Just leverage. Where is he? Arya's voice came out hoarse. Alive. For now. Min-jun crouched down, his face illuminated by dim light. He cares about you. I could see it at the gala. The way he looked at you, protected you. So here's what's going to happen. He'll trade himself for you. Walk right into death because of a waitress he's known for 4 days. Min-jun laughed. It was a horrible sound. Poetic, isn't it? He won't come, Arya said. But even she didn't believe it. Oh, sweetheart. Min-jun held up a phone, showing her a text thread. Seo-jun. Where is she? Name your terms. Arya's heart shattered. He was going to get himself killed. For her. When he arrives. Min-jun continued, his voice going cold. I'll make him watch you die first. Slowly. Then I'll take my time with him. His eyes gleamed with madness. My father screamed for 17 minutes before he died. I'm going to beat that record. He stood, heading for the door. Wait, the door slammed. Locks engaged, heavy, final. Arya was alone in the dark, helpless. And somewhere across Los Angeles, the man she'd stupidly fallen for was gathering his remaining men, preparing to walk into a death trap, because he couldn't live with himself if he let her die. She had to escape. Had to warn him. Had to. But the zip ties cut into her wrists. The walls were solid concrete. The door was reinforced steel, and time was running out. Above her, muffled through the ceiling, she heard voices. Min Jun giving orders. Preparing. Setting his trap. Arya closed her eyes and forced herself to breathe, to think. She wasn't helpless. She'd survived worse than this. Foster homes that locked her in closets. Men who thought they could break her. A system designed to crush people like her. Min Jun had made one mistake. He'd underestimated the Waitress. And if Sojun was coming, and he was coming, she knew it with certainty. Then she needed to be ready. Because she'd be damned if they were both going to die in this warehouse tonight. Arya forced herself to breathe. To think. She wasn't helpless. She'd survived foster homes that locked her in closets. Men who thought they could break her. A system designed to crush people like her. Racism that tried to make her believe she was less than. Min Jun made one mistake. He underestimated the Waitress. She felt along the concrete wall until she found it a sharp edge where floor met wall, rough and broken. She began sawing the zip tie against it, ignoring plastic cutting into her wrists. 5 agonizing minutes. The tie snapped. Free. But trapped. Armed guards outside. No weapon. Then muffled voices above. Gunfire. Sojun's assault had begun. She searched frantically. Found a metal pipe. Tested its weight. The door was locked from outside, but the hinges were on her side. 3 years ago, a sketchy landlord taught her this lesson. She popped the pins free, lifted the door off silently. Beyond. Warehouse. 3 guards watching the main entrance where chaos erupted. None watching the basement. Arya crept up, pipe ready. One swing to the first guard's knees, another to his head. Down. She grabbed his gun. Fired. The second dropped. The third spun, but a shot from the shadows dropped him first. Jin-ho emerged, lowering his weapon. Boss chose well, he said in Korean accented English. They moved like ghosts toward the second-floor office. At the landing, Arya stumbled into view, pretending helplessness. Please help. Guards lowered weapons. Fatal mistake. Jin-ho and Arya fired simultaneously. Both dropped. Through the office door, Min Jun's voice in rapid Korean. Surrender or I start sending pieces. He stopped. What do you mean she's not in the basement? Arya kicked the door open. Opulent office. Min Jun behind a desk. 2 bodyguards. Looking for me? Jugya! Min Jun screamed. Kill her! Jin-ho dropped one. Arya dove as bullets shredded air. Came up firing. Second bodyguard down. Just Min Jun and Arya now. Both armed. Both aiming. You should have stayed in the basement. Min Jun hissed. You should have known better than to lock up a survivor. His finger tightened. Arya down. She dropped. The window exploded. Seo-jun crashed through from the fire escape, tackling Min Jun. They hit hard, rolling, fighting, Korean and English curses mixing. A knife flashed. Seo-jun caught Min Jun's wrist, slammed it down until the blade clattered away, pinned him. Dangzinen ne abajiro jugyoso, Min Jun screamed. You killed my father! I was 12 years old! Something like regret flickered across Seo-jun's face. I'm sorry you lost him, he said in Korean, then English. But this, he gestured at the carnage. This doesn't bring him back. It just creates more orphans. Then finish it. Make my son an orphan too. Seo-jun looked at the broken man consumed by grief and rage. Saw himself at 19. Saw the cycle. He was so tired of the cycle. Ani, he said quietly. No. Then in English, No. He pulled out zip ties, secured Minjun's hands. You're going to prison, going to live, and maybe someday you'll realize revenge isn't the same as justice. He stood, turned, Arya dress torn, blood on her hands, the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. You came for me, she whispered, always. He crossed the room, pulled her into his arms. Are you hurt? No. You? I'll live. He cupped her face. You escaped, fought your way up, saved yourself. She smiled through tears. I learned from the best. Jinho cleared his throat awkwardly. Boss. Police are here. Let the law have him, Sojun said, not looking away from Arya. I'm done with vendettas, done living alone, done pretending I don't feel things, done pretending I'm not completely in love with a fearless waitress who changed my entire world in 4 days. Arya's breath caught. I just needed you to know, he continued. Man, don't dare me, she said, voice breaking. Because I'll absolutely fall completely in love with you too. His laugh was pure joy. Is that a threat or promise? Both. They kissed while Jinho studied the ceiling and Minjun cursed them in Korean. In the aftermath, Minjun's confession to authorities became a roadmap to dismantling the criminal network his father had built. Ironically, his testimony cleared Seojun of numerous charges the FBI had been building for years, most of which had actually been Minjun's operations, cleverly framed to implicate Seojun. The federal prosecutors were more interested in the corrupt officials and rival organizations Minjun had exposed than in pursuing a man going legitimate. Hana Song, the nervous accountant, had fled to South Korea the night of the gala. She'd been embezzling for months and knew Minjun's chaos would expose her fraud. The FBI was still looking for her, but Sojun let it go. Some battles weren't worth fighting anymore. 3 weeks later, Sojun stood outside the federal building, breathing free air for the first time in what felt like years. The FBI agent shook his hand. You're getting a rare second chance, he said. Don't waste it. He wouldn't. Going completely legitimate, he told Arya on the courthouse steps. Divesting everything illegal. Rebuilding the right way. Be my partner. Equal share in everything. One condition: we start a foundation for foster kids. His expression melted. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out a small velvet box. I have one more condition of my own. Arya's breath caught as he opened it. A simple, elegant diamond ring, nothing ostentatious, everything perfect. Marry me, Arya. Be my partner in everything. Business, life, future. Man, don't dare me, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. I'm daring you. His smile was brilliant. Say yes. Yes, yes, I'll marry you. He slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her, not caring about stares, not caring about the Korean man and black woman defying every expectation, every barrier. That evening at Hanami, he announced, Arya will run operations. I'm a silent partner now. They sat in her old break booth, ordered the cheapest sake, a private joke. To new beginnings, he toasted. To second chances, Arya added. She reflected on the impossible journey fired waitress to engaged partner, the scared foster kid who promised she'd never bow. She'd kept that promise and found a man who loved her for it. Seojun watched the fearless, beautiful woman who'd shattered every wall, giving him something he thought he'd lost forever. Hope. To the fearless and the feared. Arya raised her glass. May we never stop daring each other to be better. His smile was brilliant. Man, don't dare me. Too late. I'm going to dare you every single day for the rest of our lives. Promise? Promise. They kissed. The restaurant erupted in applause, staff, customers, strangers celebrating a love that defied every odd, every barrier, every expectation. A love that started with a thrown glass and a woman who refused to flinch.